Hey guys, it's time for a little bit of a check-in on how we're doing on the Every Romantasy Challenge. Hey guys, if you are new here, welcome to the Book Path. I'm Nicole, and if this isn't your first rodeo, thanks for sticking around. Small disclaimer, everyone is up early and it has been storming and raining, which probably woke up the kids. They're downstairs with Daddy running around. So if you hear some background noise, that is what it is. I know I've put these disclaimers in there, but I'd rather you know what's going on when you hear like these whirring whatever noises in the background. That is what it is. So I thought that we would do a little bit of a check-in on the Romantasy Challenge. I know that Final Book Support Group is next week, although probably when this comes out, Final Book Support Group will be in full swing. So I just wanted to kind of touch base here with what's going on and what I've read here and do something separate for Final Book that'll come out after the fact. I haven't felt like I read a lot so far this month, but when I look at kind of what's been scratched off the bingo board for the Romantasy Challenge, I'm feeling good so far. So let's go ahead and get to it. I'm going to put the board up here and then I'll just kind of show you what we've done. So first up, I went and tackled the High Mountain Court by A.K. Mulford. This was my Reluctant Allies pick, as well as a book I already own. It had been on my T.B.R. for a little bit. And you basically had this world that was set into like northern, southern, eastern, western kingdoms. And they all had these kind of witches that supported the kingdoms, and the kingdoms were the Fae. I think the south, or there was the brown witches, the blue witches, the red witches, and I can't remember the other one. But the red witches were the witches for like the high court that kind of oversaw everything. And there's this uprising that happens, and during the uprising, the royal family of the high court is killed, and a lot of the red witches are killed in the process as well. So you now have about 10 to 12 years later, and you have 19-year-old Remy, who is a red witch. She is kind of in hiding because there are hunters about for the red witches in her kingdom. She is on the run with two brown witches, and the brown witches are like the healer witches. The red witches are, they have almost like telekinetic powers, if you will. And basically, they are found out by four Fae that come into the tavern where they're working. And these Fae happen to be three of them are the bodyguards for the fourth one, who happens to be the prince and heir to, I think it is the Eastern or the Western, I can't remember. Eastern, read the back of the book. And that is Hale. And he is on a quest to find the long lost heir of the high court. There are rumors that the prince is still alive, and so he's on a quest to go and find the heir, stop the kind of usurper that took over the throne, stop him, bring back peace. And while this is going on, obviously you have kind of an enemies to lovers, kind of, the reluctant ally of Remy doesn't want to help because she's a red witch. She can get found out. It's like a death sentence to go to some of these places if she gets found out. But at the same time, she has her own secrets and her own reasons for wanting to help. And so they kind of help each other out. And while that goes on, there is some romance that happens and blossoms. It felt a little kind of slow. I mean, stuff was happening. It wasn't bad, but just kind of felt a little slow. This time in the Southern Kingdom, when they get there and the kind of flirty bits that start to happen there, I really did kind of enjoy. I thought that was fun. It was like I want to say it's like almost like a fake casino scene. And that was really good. And then it gets to a point where I want to say the last 100 pages, it just felt like surprise after surprise after surprise after surprise. And so you're kind of just like, wait, what? That one kind of intrigued me because this is supposed to be the first book in a series, and to have so many of those surprises kind of happen, I don't know where they're going to go from this, because I don't know what other kind of pinnacle moments you can have for a multi-book series, where it felt like this was very much, it could have been one book, maybe two books, and I know there's more than that. So I ended up giving it 4 stars because it was good. I did like the world. It feels like a little bit of a darker world until you get to that Southern Kingdom. The Southern Kingdom is the one that's kind of the more relaxed, fun type of kingdom. But there were like the distinct parts of that. I did kind of like some of the back story and the secrets that kind of happen. And then, like I said, once stuff started happening towards the end, I was like, wait a second, what? And it had a few little shocking moments in there that I was just like, oh my gosh. So 4 stars. I do recommend. It's a very interesting series. Like I said, I'm really curious to see where they're going to go after they've already done so many tosses, twists and turns in the first book. But I also ended up, for our microtropes, we ended up getting the on the run prompt, because obviously Remy is on the run with the other witches. She's trying to stay hidden. We also had a long lost heir prompt, because you are looking for the long lost heir. And there are a few surprises and twists and turns with that as well. And then we also got the 1 bed or horse trope, because in the Southern Kingdom, there is the 1 bed room at the tavern. So they do have that for the bonus challenges as well. This also had fays and witches. So we knocked off a lot with just our first book, and I thought that was a really great start. So next up, I started Shouldn't Have Come by Sloane Sable. This actually ended up being a DNF. This was supposed to be for the 2 or more love interests. I DNF'd it because I just really didn't know what the heck was going on. I was like, this was a shorter book, and I was almost 100 pages in, and it was just, I didn't realize it was as like horror romance as it was. And I'm not against that, but I'm like, it needs to be presented in a certain way. And this just didn't have it. You basically had the main character. She said she was a witch. She said she had powers, and she's going to, I don't know if it's a televised thing or not, but she's working with, I guess, these ghost hunters to do some sort of ritual to reach into the void, to bring back proof of the paranormal or something like that. And the ritual goes awry, or the ritual doesn't work out as planned, and she ends up bringing through these kind of like murderous monsters, if you will. And so there's these like 4 people of the, ghost hunter crew or whatever, and her like trapped in what felt like a hotel or something similar, where it was a building and it had multiple rooms, and I don't know if it was like a school, something like that. And all the while this is going on, the witch is conflicted. Like, she's trying to save them, but at the same time, she doesn't really want to save them. And then she's kind of not wanting to get killed by the monsters, but then at the same time, like, interested in the monsters, like, romantically. And it was just a lot of chaos. Everybody's running everywhere. There's like one scene where she's being intimate with one of the monsters, and the other people that are in the ghost hunters are there like screaming because they've been hurt, and she's taking that time to do that. So it was just really kind of bizarre, and it wasn't making a lot of sense, and everything was just kind of randomly going on. The main character, witch, was just very apathetic. I didn't really care for her at all. And so I figured, I was like, I really just don't want to read this anymore. So I DNF'd it, and I know that this was also my spinner wheel prompt. So I decided to go with the other book that was on the spinner wheel, and that was A Feather So Black by, I think it's Lyra Celine or Lyra Celine. I'm not sure on the name, so forgive me for that. And I'm happy that I did, because I ended up giving this one 5 stars. I found it really, really well done in its kind of fairy tale retelling. And in this world, you basically have the human world, where you have Fia, who is the daughter of the queen, only she is a changeling. You find out that about was it 20 years before, sometimes before, there was a war between the Fae and the humans, and that in kind of retaliation for the deaths in the Fae world, there were, I can't remember how many, if it was like 10 or 12, or there were a certain amount of girls that were stolen from the human kingdom, and the last one being the queen's daughter. And in the place of all the girls were like random pieces of nature, twigs, sticks, or whatever, except for the last one. For the princess, a changeling was left in her place, and this changeling is Fia. And Sophia has grown up kind of as the adopted daughter of the queen, and she is trained as kind of the weapon of the queen as well. So she has grown up. She also has this kind of childhood friend, Prince Rogan, who grew up. There was a little bit of a romance there, and then there was a separation that happened, which really kind of broke her heart. And so now they are reunited a few years later with the task that Fia needs to help Rogan find a gateway that only is open like once a month on the full moon, cross over into the Fae world, find where the princess is, break whatever curse is on her, rescue her, and bring her home so she can marry Rogan. Yes, the same Rogan who Fia is in love with. So I'm like, it was a crushing blow. And like, honestly, within 40 pages, I was just heartbroken and gut wrenched for Fia. Like you get pulled in so much by her emotions and just what she's feeling and going through. You also realize pretty early on that her mother's manipulating her for some reason. So your heart's kind of breaking for her then, because she just wants to be loved by Rogan, or she wants to be loved by her mother. She wants to be seen as a normal person. She tries to hide this kind of magical power that she has over nature because she has hurt people with it, and she feels, really upset and torn about that. And so they go to this kind of like fort that's on the human side of the gate, and that's where her and Rogan are supposed to stay, just the two of them, while they figure out this plan. So obviously you start to find out that Rogan never got over his feelings for Fia, and he doesn't really want to go to the princess, but he knows he has to do the duty there. And Fia, who's trying to protect her heart because she knows that it can never be with her and Rogan, because she doesn't want to be like a mistress, and Rogan has to marry the princess once they rescue her. So once they cross over into the Fae world, it's very dark. It is very twisted. It is not the nice, pretty Fae world. They find the princess along with the other girls who were taken. They have been cursed to be swans, and they become human at night, and they go to like these revelries and these balls and dances and parties at night. They are protected by this Fae Lord named Irian, and of course Irian is, gorgeous. And Sophia starts to feel feelings for him, but she doesn't know if he's lying or telling her the truth, because Fae aren't always truthful. But she starts to hear a very different tale of what brought about the wars, why the princess and the other girls are kind of cursed the way they are, and kind of her own truth and her own history in this tale. So it was just very beautifully well done. Like I said, you get pulled in on the emotional level super quick. And you are just wanting Fia to get her happy ending. You're wanting her to find her strength. You're wanting her to figure out what's going on with her mom. And you're wanting her, obviously you're caught up in this love triangle between her and Rogan and Irian. And I almost want to say it's a love square, because once you throw the princess in there, you have all these relationship dynamics going on. But it was just well done. Like I said, it had this darker fairy tale to it. Very kind of light on the spice. But it was okay. I didn't need all the spice there because the story was pulling me in. So it is, like I said, 5 stars, probably one of the better books that I have read this year, if not the best one, just for the way that you felt like this was a very classic fairy tale storytelling piece. And that's something that you don't really see a lot of. And so I really, really enjoyed that. And so this was the 2 or more love interests. This was also the spinner wheel prompt, even though it wasn't the one that we got on the spinner wheel, it was the other option. And since we DNF'd, I went with this. And then we also had a few microtropes on this one. We had the bath scene because there is a bathtub scene. I think there's might actually even be more than one, but I know there's at least one with actually Rogan in the bathtub. So it was a bath scene. You also have lost memory because there are some memories that Fia can't really remember. She feels fuzzy because she wakes up and she's a young girl, but she can't remember a lot of her memories before that. So there is kind of lost memory going on there that she is trying to find out. There is also bad dreams. She does have some nightmares and she doesn't know if they're nightmares or memories, but she does have these dreams that, like I said, for lack of a better term, they're nightmares. And then there is also a knife to the throat scene with Fia and Irian. I think there is one where it's actually Irian holding the knife to Fia's throat. So, but it is the knife to the throat scene, and obviously it's more Fae in here, so I didn't really get any new bonus challenges. But we did go ahead and complete this, and like I said, I highly, highly recommend. It's a fairy tale retelling in little spots. It's not overly exacting of the, fairy tale. You're not getting the fairy tale of it. It's its own story with hints of fairy tales you recognize in it. So I really enjoyed it. And so our final book that I've read so far is A Dance with the Fae Prince by Elise Kova. This was the prompt for the arranged marriage. And it was very interesting. I think it takes place in like a Victorian type of world, and you have our main character, and she's growing up in a very kind of Cinderella way. Her father runs like a trading ship thing, and her stepmother has brought over her stepsister, and then she has like a half sister. And she's kind of the odd one out and treated as a servant and made to kind of fix up their dilapidating house. And lo and behold, her hand in marriage is being sold off to pay for their lavish lifestyle. So she is sold off to this lord who lives kind of in this very almost castle-like home on the edge of the forest, which is rumored to be where the Fae live. And she is told when she gets there that she can never look upon her husband's face, that she'll be free to kind of roam about the grounds. There's certain parts where she can't go, that she has to stay in her room and in her part of the house after dark for her own safety. And at night she hears laughter, voices, all sorts of sounds coming from her door. She doesn't understand. She does kind of get to be around her husband without seeing him. She'll play the lute and kind of sing, and they have these nightly discussions where they're like chairs are turned back to back so she can't see him. There is a really kind of, I guess, sensual scene where she learns that if she blindfolds herself, she can be around him and navigate, and he can kind of face her and do those things. And so that is kind of very romantic. And like I said, it does have a sensual part to it. And I really did like enjoy those moments because it was very well written. So one night she hears the noises. She doesn't know what's going on. She sees a letter from her husband saying that he has to go somewhere. And should he not return, the house is hers. She could do whatever she wants. She can remarry, whatever. And this startles her because she's starting to develop feelings for him. So she follows these cloaked individuals, these people that she sees in the house, and she follows them down to this area where there's like this ritual taking place. And every one of them seems to be, quote, a monster to her, but they're actually Fae. And she sees them doing this ritual, and they're going to take her mother's book. That was one of the gifts that was given in her hand in marriage. And they're going to throw it into this fire of flame. It is one of the last two things that she has of her mother's. So she jumps in to save it, thinking she's going to perish in the flames, only she does not. She actually inherits all the powers of the previous royals and rulers of this Fae kingdom. So now she is brought into the Fae world, where she finds out that her husband is kind of the long lost heir to this kingdom, and that he was supposed to inherit the Fae powers and kind of save the kingdom because there's all sorts of upheaval going on. Obviously, while this is going on, she's trying to find out who she is, where does she belong, and fight, obviously, this growing love that she knows she's getting for him, even though she knows it can never be because humans can't live in the Fae world. So it's just kind of, it was a well done story. It was good. It just, I dropped my paper. It was good. It just felt a little lacking in, I don't know if it was the momentum. I don't know if it was the romance. I don't know. It just felt a little lacking for me. So I ended up giving it 4 stars. It was still good, but I mean, it was also kind of predictable. You kind of knew who she was going into the story, and you kind of knew where it was going to have to end up. And there were parts where I felt like, okay, just get there. But like I said, it was still, I can see why people liked it so much. Just for me, there was something missing. But I did go ahead and finish that. So that was our arranged marriage prompt. That was also our sequel, because even though it was my first book in I think it's the Married to Magic series, it is actually book 2 in the series. But they can be read differently. They're kind of like their own standalones that exist in the world. There were no other microtropes in this, and obviously it was a Fae world, so there weren't any other extra bonus challenges, but it was for our arranged marriage and our sequel prompt. So we did go ahead and take care of that. Currently, I'm trying to get done before Final Book Support Group Challenge starts, is the Woven Mark, which is the Fated Mates book, as well as my audiobook. I've been kind of listening to that on and off. Once again, I'm really realizing that as far as romance books goes, I'm not an audiobook person. So it's taking me a while to get through. So I listen to it here and there. And then I am also working through our Bodyguard and our social media rec, which is The Claw and the Crown. So I'm working my way through that one. Not sure how I feel about it yet. It's decent, but I'm finding some things that are kind of annoying to me. So we'll see how that turns out. Hopefully I can finish that before Final Book Support Group, that week-long challenge starts. But like I said, when I look at it on paper, I feel like I'm going, slow and steady, but I'm making progress. But I wanted to go ahead and let you guys know that was kind of what was going on and where we stood on that. Obviously I think I'm reading Blood Mercy in Final Book Support Group because it fulfilled some prompts in that, and that will also be one of the prompts for here. So we will hopefully get that done, and then that will leave us with about like 1 or 2 more books for this, and we'll see if I can actually finish the Romantasy challenge by the end of the month. We shall see. I mean, it's going to be close. It really is. But other than that, that is kind of where we stand. It's the middle of the month. Like I said, by the time this goes out, Final Book Support Group will be underway. But let me know how you guys are doing with July's reading so far. Have you been doing the Romantasy challenge as well? Or will you be participating in Final Book Support Group? Let me know in the comments below. I hope all is well with you. Like I said, we have been having some very rainy weather. But I hope it's nice and calm and decent where you guys are, and that your summer is going well. And with that being said, I look forward to hearing from you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.